Okay, so right now at the White House, President Donald Trump holding his 6th cabinet meeting of his 2nd term. A number of headlines coming out of that room. One, tariff rates on 14 countries upcoming August 1st. That warning sent in a letter to those countries by the White House Monday. So the message essentially from the administration: come to the table, make a deal. Some of the most notable countries, South Korea and Japan. Here's President Trump about those letters.
I just want you to know, a letter means a deal. You know, a lot of people say, we got 200 countries. We can't meet with 200 countries. We have a few trusted people that know what they're doing, that are doing a good job, but you can't do it. You have to do it in a more general way, but it's a very good way. It's a better way. It's a more powerful way. And we sent him a letter. You read the letter. I think it was well crafted. And mostly it's just a little number in there. You'll pay 25%, 35%. We have some at 60, 70. Those are ones with massive, where we have massive trade deficits because they've treated us very badly.
So that's inside the White House. Let's go live outside the White House to CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Ed, you're covering it all, inside and outside. The president says a letter means a deal. Is it safe to say that the 14 letters sent out yesterday are done deals?
Not necessarily, if you listen to what he said last night, Reed. He was holding a dinner with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and reporters were brought in. CBS News was the pool. So I put the question to him. Is this letter the final offer, or is it subject to negotiation? And is August 1 the firm deadline? Look what he said last night versus what he said this morning. Are the tariff letters that you sent today final offers, or are they negotiable?
More or less final offer.
So South Korea, Japan should take it or leave it?
We're always subject to negotiate something that's fair, but we've talked to most of the countries, and pretty much they've had their way for many, many decades, as you know. And it was time that we just wanted fairness. This is not really equitable from our standpoint, because it's just a small token by comparison to the damage that's been done over the years. But we had no other president that was willing to do this. I did it in my first term with China and others. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs. No inflation, the most successful period of time that we've ever had financially in the country. The first term. I think this term is going to be much better, even much better than that. That was the best ever, and this is going to be, I think, substantially better. And we're on the way to doing that. We've already taken in over $100 billion worth of tariffs, and we haven't even started. And all I say to the other countries is, some of them wanted to make a deal and want to be fair.
We also asked him then, is August 1 a negotiable deadline, or is it drop dead? And what he said was, in some cases, if they're willing to do a deal, we might extend that deadline. So you're hearing all sorts of answers from him just in the last 18 hours or so, Reed, which causes great confusion for the countries receiving these letters, now expected to pay tariffs between 25 and 40%, who may be wondering, can I call back and negotiate this? And it's also causing consternation and confusion on Wall Street. We're seeing the Dow again down this hour amid this confusing kind of messaging from the president as he tries to suggest that they're nearing deals that are not yet complete and not fulfilling the vow to cut 90 deals in 90 days. In fact, last night he said, well, the way we see it, we're done with them. But again, whether those countries consider these deals complete or whether they think they have an opportunity to call back and try to negotiate remains to be seen.
Well, and these countries also watch sort of the mind of this president. We've seen him relative to the TikTok ban be willing by executive order to kick that can down the road and be flexible on dates as well. So critics are arguing that perhaps Mr. Trump is being played by these countries that he says are playing the United States. Time will only tell. But I also want to ask you about what seems to be a bit of an evolution relative to the president's position on Russia and Ukraine. President Trump now saying the U.S. will be sending more weapons to Ukraine. He also had some pretty tough talk that I can't repeat in front of my mother. What did he have to say?
Well, why don't we just listen to him say it?
We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. We get a lot of thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to sanction him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to vote?
I'm looking at it, yeah. No, I'm looking. The Senate is passing and passed very, very tough sanctions. But yeah, I'm looking at
And
it.
you sign that?
It's an optional bill. It's totally at my option. They passed it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option. And I'm looking at it very strongly.
So you see the salty language there, but you also hear him saying, in response to a question, that he is looking at and likely to support a bipartisan proposal in the Senate that would essentially allow him to put sanctions on Russia at his whim, at presidential discretion. This is a bipartisan effort that's been sitting there for quite a while. Most of the Senate now supports it. A similar House measure exists and likely would get overridden by this Senate one if it passes overwhelmingly. Lindsey Graham, among others, pushing the president to allow it to go through. And it sounds there, given how he feels about Vladimir Putin, at least today, that he would support that measure.
Well, as you know, Ed, that's a very big table that cabinet sits at, and a very big slate of issues. Before we let you go, what else stood out to you at that very big table, very big menu of issues?
One other headline that's come out of it, and it's still ongoing, is that he confirmed the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is coming back to the White House tonight for another round of meetings, specifically or mostly, he says, about the situation in Gaza. He was here last night for dinner. They discussed that issue, plus some other regional concerns. That's where he took questions about tariffs and other issues. Netanyahu is on Capitol Hill. He met this morning with the Vice President. He'd also met with the Secretary of State and the Mideast envoy, Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff, respectively. But now it sounds like he's coming back here again tonight for more. We'll monitor those meetings and see what comes of them.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you so much. As always, TV News, bump, set, and spike perfectly played. We appreciate it.